When it was announced that Warzone 2 was coming out later this year, I felt almost certain we were never going to see another new map for Warzone. It just didn't seem likely, with only a few months left to go until the new game comes out, that we were going to get a whole new map. But here it is, we've got our first look at Fortune's Keep. In this video, we're going to take a look at the map, we're going to talk about the community event that helped put the whole map together, we're going to talk about when this map is going to release, because we're pretty sure we have a release date for it, and look at some of the really curious stuff about it that might hint at some possible Easter eggs or something like that. What are the interesting things that are going on with this new map? So let's start with the community event that unveiled this map. I thought it was really cool. It was a really fun stream. Great seeing a load of you there. And basically what they did was they split the map into 12 pieces. They released one on Twitter, and then they'd sent some cakes out to different content creators that had pieces of the maps on top. So JGod got a cake with a piece of this map on top. That was really cool. And thankfully they also emailed him out a high resolution version of it so we could start piecing it together. So I sat on stream on Photoshop, just putting all of the map together, trying to join up all of the pieces to make sure it all fits. And as it went on, we could like talk about the different things we could see, we could start speculating on the different sides of it. It was really cool. It didn't take too long, it was like a couple of hours before we had the entire map pieced together, and then Call of Duty tweeted a sort of higher resolution version of it with some extra little bits on it, telling us where it's located and giving us an idea of the scale. On the official map they released, it tells us that it's in the Adriatic Sea. Now, unlike the Alcatraz island that was used for the Blackout map Alcatraz and then for Rebirth Island, I don't think this is a real island. I had a look around, it looks a little bit like the shape of the island called Viz, but when you actually look at it, it doesn't look like the buildings are in the right place or the size of it's right or anything like that. So I think this is just a fictional location. In terms of the story of it, it's kind of hard to understand. We did have something in a blog post where they were saying that Rebirth Island was going to be under attack, so they decided that they were going to launch a first strike and they were going to evacuate Rebirth Island and then go attack this other place. So I assume that's what the story is going to be. And remember, we have that secret Rebirth Island event that's going to be taking place next Monday up until Wednesday, where we're doing something on Rebirth Island, but it's been censored so far, so we don't know what it is. I assume that's going to be the event that transitions us from Rebirth to Fortune's Keep. In terms of what's going to happen to Rebirth Island, I don't know. I would have said that maybe they couldn't handle an extra map because, you know, the file size is already huge for Warzone, maybe they couldn't fit it in, but this does look like it's using the same kind of color palette as Caldera, so maybe they're reusing a lot of assets, maybe they're reusing a lot of models or textures or sound effects or whatever. I'm not really sure. If they are, maybe they'll be able to keep the file size small and maybe we'll get Rebirth and Caldera and Fortune's Keep, but to be honest, I think it's more likely we're just going to end up with Fortune's Keep. So looking at the map itself, we've got lots of points of interest, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory what all of them are. So starting from the top, we have Keep, which is like the thing that Fortune's Keep is named after. It's got some elements of prison where it's got kind of a moat going around it, a bit like prison in Verdansk, and you can see there's some tunnels underneath it because there's some roads that kind of stop dead, and you can see there's some towers at either side, there's a redeploy balloon, there's a big courtyard in the middle. The actual main building of Keep looks a tiny bit like Asylum from Blackout, where it's got like corridors all the way around the edge and then that little courtyard in the middle. I'm assuming this is going to be the hot drop for this island, just like prison is on Rebirth. This is going to be the main place people are going to go. Then just going around clockwise, you've got Bay, where it's kind of a beachy area. It looks kind of open, but there's lots of cliffs there, so I'm assuming there's going to be some really steep drops, like a lot of the coastal areas on Caldera are. Then we've got the winery a little bit south to that, which is a huge complex of buildings and some fields around it. Again, looks like there's lots of verticality, lots of separate buildings in that. Maybe even some, you know, basement cellars, things like that. That sort of thing you expect is a big wine cellar. Then we've got Camp, which looks to me like the most open area of the map. This is the one area where it looks like there's hardly any cover, which was one of the big complaints about Caldera, and I'm a little bit worried that that's going to be the same there, but at least it is only one area. Moving around, we've got Lighthouse, so we've got another lighthouse on the map. This one you can see the tower kind of looks over to the west to Smuggler's Cove, and then you've got a couple of other buildings. And then the Smuggler's Cove area itself that leads into Grotto looks really interesting. You've got loads of water areas that I assume will just be really shallow water that you can walk in. A few people on my stream were asking, like, will this be the introduction of swimming to it, which we've heard is coming with Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2. I don't think so, because this will just be the same engine as Warzone 1. I'm not expecting there to be anything different in terms of features or anything like that. I'm assuming we're not going to be seeing any kind of swimming, because they'd have to add animations and all new systems for that. I just guess it'll be like ankle deep water like there is on a lot of the coastal parts of Caldera. But Smuggler's Cove has lots of entrances to like a cave network that you can see that's called grottos. So there's some buildings up on the surface and then there's some caves underneath. So I assume that'll be like the caverns in Peak and Mines, where they'll all be interconnected and there'll be loads of tunnels underneath there. Then further west you've got Overlook, which looks like it's a raised platform. You can actually see some zip lines and things like that on the edge. And then you've got Town. So this looks like quite a big town. Obviously it's not as big as Capital in Caldera, but there's a ton of buildings in here and it's not really something that we ever saw on Rebirth Island. We never had this like massive cluster of buildings. So that's going to be really interesting, having people shooting off all the rooftops and going in and out of buildings and stuff like that. I quite like fights in Capital. I think that's a lot of fun, so that's going to be interesting to see how it plays on a smaller map. We've also got a location called Graveyard that's pretty self-explanatory, but it might have some crypts, and you know, maybe the crypts might have some secrets and things like that. Here's hoping. And then you go back around and you've got Gatehouse and Terraces, which are just sort of part of Keep, so the more exposed parts of Keep. Now, I've scoured this map all over and I can't find anything that looks like a bunker entrance or anything like that. With the Rebirth Island reskin, we actually could find some bunker entrances on a map. They're pretty obvious. And with Caldera, we could find the hatches. We had all 13 or 14 of those hatches and we could see a lot of them from the maps. This looks very different to that. We can't see any of those sort of hidden places, but obviously underneath Keep, inside Grotto, there could easily be some sort of secret chambers, some places where people are storing gold or something like that. So I'm really hopeful that we're going to have an Easter egg. Even the name itself, Fortune's Keep, it sounds so much like there's going to be some, you know, riches to be found, a fortune to be found. I'm really assuming we're going to have some kind of massive vault filled with gold, and hopefully the Easter egg will be all about trying to unlock that. It would be cool if we had something that kind of took us to town, took us to winery, took us to the lighthouse, like having to go to different locations, and then being able to unlock some sort of massive vault and keep. That would be a lot of fun. Obviously, whatever happens, as soon as this goes live, I'll be streaming and looking for all of those secrets, trying to find if there is an Easter egg, and if there is, we'll try and work out how to do it and make a guide and everything. So make sure you subscribe and turn your notifications on. Now that brings me on to the release date. I feel like we can be pretty confident that this is coming out on the 22nd of June, which is next Wednesday. We've got that event that's happening on Rebirth Island from Monday to Wednesday. I'm assuming that's a transition thing. It's going to be some sort of evacuation of Rebirth Island. Maybe there'll be like bombs going off and we'll have to get to boats or something like that. Or maybe we'll just be trying to get to a big ship. I've got no idea. But that's the sort of thing that I'm imagining. And then on Wednesday, I'm assuming Rebirth Island will be, at least temporarily, replaced with Fortune's Keep. Now, there still are lots of things that we don't know about this map. We don't know what the tunnels are going to be like, how extensive they're going to be. We don't know what it's going to be in terms of vehicles, like are we going to see helicopters or even planes on this? I've got absolutely no idea. One of the weirdest things on the map are these strange little structures that seem to look flat, like they're not buildings because they don't have the sort of white outline around them that buildings do. But they cast a shadow that looks like two boxes. Some people said maybe they're stacks of gold or something. I've got no idea, but they look really, really weird to me. And sometimes they cast a shadow on one side, sometimes on the other. If you've got any idea, let me know in the comments. And also let me know in the comments, what are your first impressions of this? I love any new content that's coming to Warzone, but I will be a little bit sad if Rebirth Island is gone for good. So I'm kind of hoping this is going to be alongside Rebirth Island. Like, I'm excited for a new map, don't get me wrong, super excited for the idea of a new Easter egg, but I will be kind of sad if Rebirth Island is gone. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.